Halo Infinite is introducing electric damage and, more importantly, electric status effects to Halo. And with both come a new and complex way the weapon and combat experience in Halo is going to evolve. But I noticed after I made my video about the shock rifle, some commenters seemed concerned that Halo adding status effects would make the game too much like other contemporary titles like Destiny. This is a funny take to me because the Halo franchise actually has a long and rich history with status effects and elemental damage types, dating back all the way to Halo CE. So it seems some of you kiddos need a little schooling. I'm the Home Slice, Ascend, and today we're going to explore Halo's long history of special damage and status effects. We'll break down how they have impacted the franchise and how their far more prominent place in Halo Infinite might be an indicator of more to come. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, and let's get this started. Today's video is sponsored by Vite Ramen. I'm actually really happy I get to tell you guys about this product today because truthfully, everybody should at least try it. This is Vite Ramen, and it redefines instant ramen. Now, I'm sure we all love instant ramen, but one of the biggest issues with it is the pure lack of nutritional value. Vite Ramen changes that. This instant ramen packs nearly a quarter to nearly half of your daily suggested intake of key nutrients like vitamin C, B, and F, as well as things like biotin, iron, and even zinc. And that's not even all of the goodness packed into each serving. But what I really appreciate is how Vite Ramen is produced by a small team focused on making healthy food sustainable. Vite Ramen is also produced in the good old US of A on fair living wages. The version 3.0 of Vite Ramen products just rolled out, so don't wait. I mean, seriously, try it. You can use my link in the description or the link in the comment. Really, use both links, I don't really care. Just make sure you get over there and try some Vite Ramen out for yourself today. Status effects are an interesting design quirk because they're easily understood but hardly ever defined. I think if I had to define what a status effect was in relation to Halo Infinite specifically, I'd consider a status effect any form of gameplay modification inflicted on the player not strictly related to the raw projectile-based damage received from a weapon. Okay, long story short, any suffering you do outside of the suffering you do from taking raw damage is a status effect. Through that lens, let's discuss what was Halo's most memorable status elemental effect from its first decade: burning.
Everything litty, I love when it's hot.
Halo 3 introduced the Flamethrower and incineration grenades, both of which dealt burn damage. It's worth mentioning that despite not being implemented till 2007's Halo 3, fire-based weaponry dates back to Halo CE with its cut Flamethrower, which would later return in Halo CE on MCC. It was also supposed to be in Halo 2, but didn't make it, so Halo 3 is where it came in. Alright, look, what I'm saying is that fire damage goes way back, okay? Now, it's important to note that burn damage is especially unique because the projectile that dictates it is intended to be a spray, meaning that basically the player is painting surfaces with areas that inflict burn damage. That paint is transferable to players if they're exposed to it long enough, and they'll gain the burning status effect. Burn damage is especially interesting because of its sheer power. As where in other games where its effect is intended to be more passive and more of a nagging effect, in Halo, burning is a literal death sentence. And unfortunately, this makes it a little hard to balance. It's such a unique damage delivery platform and it's so strong, its appearances in Halo 3 are extremely limited. Incin grenades literally don't appear in vanilla match-made maps, and the Flamethrower was only available on the map Construct. Not to mention that burn damage is notoriously trolly, as it has a tendency to kill opponents, teammates, you. So despite being 6 years in the making by the time it appeared in Halo, it still wasn't quite perfect. But Halo fans remember the damage type fondly. Probably. I don't know if that's true. But another status effect every Halo player is probably aware of, but is never seen as a status effect, is also as old as Halo itself: super combined stacking. Super combining is an ability that needle-based weapons like the Needler, Needle Rifle, and the Blood of Suban have. As you take damage from needle weapons, you stack super combined ticks, let's call them, and you stack too many, you explode, typically resulting in an insta-kill of any normally shielded enemy. Seems like a status effect to me. But not all of Halo's status effects have revolved around damage alone. In Halo CE, the plasma rifle would actually stun players who take rapid damage from it. And not stun like lose your shields, I mean like if you take plasma rifle damage, you would slow down. We talked about this in my video recounting the evolution of plasma weapons into the storm rifle. Be sure to check that one out too. EMP damage is another status effect Halo players are probably familiar with, as iconic weapons like the plasma pistol and the grenade launcher are notorious for having the ability to not only deplete player shields, but to also impose a status effect on vehicles, disabling them for a brief amount of time. But all of these things discussed have suffered from one central shortcoming in the franchise, one weird flaw that I'm sure is the contributing factor to why Halo players don't really acknowledge status effects are in Halo. The issue is that status effects and effects of various damage types have always been poorly choreographed in Halo. Now, obviously, if you're burning, you know you're burning, but like if you're EMP'd, you have no direct representation of how long you're EMP'd, or if you're being super combined, you have no good way of knowing how close you are to being insta-killed. Even Halo Infinite has this issue, as the shock damage being applied to you is kinda not really choreographed explicitly to the affected party until it's about too late. There are 4 status effects in Halo that have been properly choreographed to the user, however: overshield, invis, damage boost, and speed boost, mostly because these are visually conveyed to the affected player overtly. I actually don't mind Halo 5's approach to choreographing the effect duration to players. Truthfully, this could be applied to virtually all other effects. Here I'll give some examples, like for burning, or being needled, or EMP'd. Hey, we could even show you being slowed, like in CE. And it'd be super helpful if you actually knew you were being electrically charged. All that feels pretty hindsight, since at the time of me making this video, this game is slated for release in a few short weeks, but I think the grander point is that status effects, and to a greater capacity, damage types, are no new inclusion to Halo. So if you were someone who thought that shock damage was just a cheap copy of other popular games, hopefully you're walking away from this video a little more savvy than before. Look, while I have openly critiqued the black hole of discussion that is this 10-year plan, I can't help but wonder if Infinite will slowly reintroduce legacy damage types and status effects back into the franchise. If so, we could see Infinite's sandbox become highly complex, as players will start to have to be conscious of not just the damage they're taking, but the effect that damage is having on them as well. The burning inflicted on players by the Ravager indicates to me that at the least, right now, 343 is allowing multiple effects to coexist. For today's viewer question, I want to pedal us back a little bit and ask you to follow up on something I said a minute or two ago. Do you think status effects are being properly choreographed in Halo Infinite? Why or why not? And if not, what could Infinite do better in the future? Within reason, of course. That's gonna do it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord linked below. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later.